Welcome to Stripes and Stories, a show about what it is to be a Pryor typer. I'm your host, Tina James. And today we are turning our focus to the classroom with our Director of Teaching and Learning.
Greetings, I'm Kristen Graves. Welcome back to Teacher Talk, conversations that take us inside the thinking behind a teacher's most powerful moves. Super excited this morning to be visiting with Jimmy Siever, 5th grade math and science teacher at Lincoln Elementary. Thank you so much for being here this morning.
You're welcome.
So let's kick off our conversation by just talking about how your experiences at Pryor have really shaped who you are as a teacher.
Well, my experience at Pryor started in 6th grade. I attended Roosevelt and all through the junior high. My parents moved around a lot. So I went to several different schools after that. I kept coming back and forth. The Pryor schools have been wonderful. I attended several different high schools. I went to Edison. I went to Nathan Hale. I went to private school for a while. But there's no comparison. I always tell my parents I want to come back to Pryor. The teachers there supported me. When I came back, I remember coming back my junior year, had a terrible circumstance where my sister was murdered when I was 16. I came back to Pryor. All the teachers accepted me, cared for me. You know, they loved her. They loved me. Just a wonderful experience for me. I know for a fact if it wasn't for Pryor, you know, I probably wouldn't be a teacher. Just the foundation that I got, the teachers encouraged me. Just the best place to be.
When you say like teachers encouraged you, what is it like when you think about your kids and later on in life, what they'll be talking about? What is it that you want them to say about the experiences they had in your classroom?
You know, I want them to say they could tell I loved what I do, that I loved teaching math, that I had a joy for teaching math. I loved math. I truly believe that math is the way out, whatever circumstances they have. You know, I want them to know that what I taught was relevant. I tried to make it fun. Sometimes I feel like my whole day is like stand up, that I'm fighting for their attention. You know, there's so many things going on that, you know, they listen to me. What am I going to say? He's even telling them a funny story today or a math joke or something. You know, I want them to know that I was always there because I wanted to be. I very seldom miss school, you know, because I want to be there. I love what I do. Yeah, I'd like for them to see that. I always try to dress professional. I've never taught in a pair of jeans. I've always taught in a collared shirt, you know, showed respect to them and hopefully, you know, received the respect back. I've had wonderful students, you know, so that's been a true blessing. It's not been me as much as it has been the good students I've had and parents and things like that.
So in what you're describing in the approach you take in relationship with students, that's what I hear you saying is it's about that relationship that you have with your students and letting them see from the outside how you feel about math, how you feel about them and teaching them on the inside. What do you feel like in the things you do on the day-to-day basis, what has the greatest impact on student achievement? Like what helps them learn the most?
I think so often in math, you know, they why am I doing this? Why do I need to know this? You know, and the why is so important. And the lucky thing about the math that I've taught is that everything I teach them they're going to use, or they've already used, or they're going to need to use. Everything. That's not a waste. All my math is something they're gonna need. And I try, you know, I've looked back over my years and think, well, you know, have most of the kids enjoyed my class? And I think, you know, there's a small percent that, you know, that I stayed after them, you know, and I wonder about that. You know, I try not to give up on anybody. I always told myself, you know, I'd retire when I got to that point where I ever gave up on somebody.
Kind of, it's for all of them or can't do it.
Yeah, for ones that didn't want to do it for some reason. You know, a lot of times kids come in with a math block. That's probably the greatest subject with blocks in math. And that's, you know, it's easy for a teacher to give up on somebody. You know, that's an easy thing to do. The most difficult thing is to stay after them and say, I'm not giving up on you. You know, nag them, say, you are going to do this assignment. Math's like a ladder, and you can't miss a step. If you miss a step in math, you're in big trouble. So it's something it's different than the other subjects. In fact, that they've got to get it to climb up to the next level. And so often when you see somebody that's not really good in math, you can go back and you can find a gap somewhere, maybe first grade, second grade, third grade, where they miss something, and it can cause a problem. So That's a challenge.
That really resonates with me because what you're saying essentially is there's a core belief in you that every kid can do it.
That's right.
Might be at a different speed, it might be in a different way, but if you just keep after them, they're going to move forward. There's some kind of forward progress. What, like if you had to capture your teaching philosophy in a few words, what would you, I think you're talking about it, but what would those words be?
Oh, gosh. You've got to engage the students, you've got to inspire them, and you got to motivate them. That's probably my three.
Mm-hmm. How do you think kids have changed?
Yeah. Not the kids themselves, but society's changed so much. Technology's changed. There's so many things. Like I said, you're competing with so many different things for their attention now than the past, is different. When I first came to school, when I first started teaching in like 1994, I could look down the hall when I got there. Every kid had a book in their hand they were reading. And now that's changed. Mm. But for the most part, they're the same. But just society, different pressures they've got, it has changed.
Mm-hmm. What do you find you've had to, when you talk about like, you've got to compete for their attention, have you had to change the things that you do to get that attention? Is it the same things, but you just have to be more persistent with it?
Yeah, it's kind of a little bit of both. You have to be more persistent with it, but I try to use different voices. It's just something, you've just got to, I might use my Richard Nixon voice sometime, things like that, but just trying to keep the attention.
That's awesome.
What voices do you use?
Oh, I just, I try to, I just try to go back and forth. I just try to, like I said, you're just competing with all these different, and if they wonder, what, and they'll stop and say, well, and sometimes I'll say things backwards just to get their attention.
Oh, wow. Give us an example.
I'll say like, somebody will knock something over or something. I'll say, well, you're like China in the bull closet today. And they'll say, China in the bull closet. I don't think you said that right, Mr. Siever. Or something, and I'll say, oh, that wasn't right, but I'll say something like, we need to get this road on the show, show on the road. I'll say it backwards a little bit, but anyway, just little things. But, kids are funny. They pick up on stuff. And they'll say, can we do this? I say, I don't know. We got so much time and so little to do on Wednesdays. I don't know. Can you say that right? So much time, so little to do on Wednesdays? We have time for an option? So much time, so little to do on Fridays. But anyway, I don't know. Just little things that, that make them pay attention and think, well, what's he going to say today? What are we going to do today? And there's so many kids that just, as far as math goes, it's like they have such a block, and hopefully at the end of the day, they say, well, I did it.
You're right. Like, I think that more than any other subject, people, like when you say to people, I teach math, people tell you their math stories.
Oh, gosh. Like, I hear it all the time.
I think maybe a big part of what I've heard you say over and over is, again, it comes back to your belief. Because you believe they can do it, so do they. They're just going along with you. Yeah, they got to believe in
the system. Yeah, they got to believe in it.
All right. Well, anything else you'd like to say before we wrap up?
No, I've just been so fortunate to be in Pryor, the admin, the students, the parents, the support of the community. It's been outstanding. I love it here. I love what I do. Hopefully I've got a year or two left in me.
Awesome. Well, I totally agree. This is a wonderful place to be, and it doesn't take very long to discover that when you get here. So, thank you so much for your time this morning.
Well, this has been an interesting discussion, and I hope everyone out there joins us next time when we'll be sitting down with Dr. Lisa Muller, Superintendent of Pryor Public Schools. Until then,